You're sitting in a quiet room. No phone in your hand. No laptop open. No TV humming in the background. Just you, a chair, and 10 minutes of complete silence. At first, it feels fine. But after about 40 seconds, something strange happens inside your head. A subtle, restless itch starts to creep in and begins to race. You shift in your seat. You check your pocket even though you know your phone isn't there. Minute 3, doing nothing starts to feel almost physically uncomfortable. It feels like laziness or a modern addiction to screens. But it isn't broken, and you haven't lost your ability to focus. What you're experiencing is an ancient survival program running in a world it was never done. Why your mind rebels against stillness. You have to look at how human survival actually worked for millions of years. For almost all of human history, complete physical and mental stillness was dangerous. In the open savanna, a human sitting completely still and disengaged wasn't relaxing. They were an easy target. Surviving required constant, low-level vigilance. You had to monitor the wind, scan the grass, track the herd, and watch the sky. Movement meant finding food. Curiosity meant finding water. Staying active kept you alive. If an early human sat down in a quiet spot and completely shut off their focus, they didn't get a sense of peace. They got eaten. So evolution built a mechanism to keep us moving. Neuroscientists call this system the default mode network, or DMN. When you stop focusing on a specific task, like reading, hunting, or working, your brain doesn't shut down to rest. Instead, the default mode network instantly kicks into high gear. It lights up like a control room during a crisis. It scans your past memories, projects potential future threats, and starts processing unhandled social problems. Psychologists tested this in a famous experiment where participants were placed in a quiet room alone for 15 minutes. They had no devices, no books, and no distractions. The only object in the room was a small button. If they pressed the button, they received a mild, uncomfortable electric shock. Before the test, every participant said they would pay money to avoid being shocked. Yet, after just a few minutes alone with their own thoughts, over 60% of the men and 25% of the women chose to shock themselves intentionally. They preferred physical pain over sitting alone doing nothing. Because to your nervous system, absolute stillness feels like an urgent problem that needs to be solved. We tend to assume that rest is our natural baseline, and effort is what takes energy. But neurobiology shows us the exact opposite is true. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of your body's total energy, even when you are lying flat on your back looking at the ceiling. It is a prediction engine that hates uncertainty. Give it nothing to predict, it invents problems to solve. It creates internal noise to fill the silence. This is why, the moment you step into a quiet elevator or wait in a slow line, your hand instinctively reaches for your phone. You aren't necessarily looking for entertainment. You are trying to quiet the default mode. You are giving your ancient brain a simple, safe focal point so it stops scanning the dark for imaginary threats. So what does this mean for your daily life? Struggling to sit quietly isn't a personal failure or a lack of discipline. It is proof that your brain's survival machinery is operating exactly as it was built. It was designed to keep you alert, seeking, and moving. Understanding this changes how you view rest. True rest isn't forcing your mind into absolute blankness. Forcing yourself to sit still and clear your mind often just triggers more internal restlessness. Instead, real cognitive recovery comes from low-stakes engagement, activities that occupy your hands and visual field without stressing your brain. Walking through a park, cooking a simple meal, or crafting something by hand gives your mind just enough input to feel safe, allowing the default mode network to settle down naturally. So the next time you feel that frantic, recognize that quiet feeling for what it really is, an ancient instinct trying to keep you alert in a world that no longer requires it. Comment below, how long can you comfortably sit in a quiet room without checking a screen before that restless feeling kicks in? I genuinely want to know.